Yeah, so when it all kicked off, but before places were shut, there was a lot of uncertainty.
We were starting to hear about like the coronavirus and things like that, where it hadn't actually been really addressed by the government.
We didn't know that there was even going to be a closure until the night before our last day.
We were asking our managers, we were like, what's happening? And our managers were like, we don't know, trying to ask their managers what's happening.
We have to screen thoroughly everyone for symptoms.
The food industries and had to be warned.
We've all switched to teaching online.
Only allowing a certain number of people into the store at one time.
Hand sanitizers at every door.
Plexiglass had to be put up.
Employees and staff members get their temperature checks.
Security guards.
Face masks.
No visitors allowed at all.
It's strange how quickly that all happened and sort of now how normal it all is.
My name is Elva Lee.
Madeline.
Matt.
Samantha.
Harley.
Roger Ball.
I'm from Verona, Ontario in Canada.
Edinburgh.
Kirkcaldy and Fife.
Ontario, Canada.
Glasgow.
From Ontario.
I am a French teacher.
Registered practical nurse in a long-term care home.
Work in a second-hand electronics shop.
The genetics labs at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
I work for Herb Transport.
NHS 24 on the COVID-19 assessment service line.
Cancer didn't stop during the pandemic pretty much, so a lot of our service was all still up and running. The main difference that we found was we got a lot less non-urgent referrals. More and more patients that we got in would be COVID positive. We had to change a lot of our protocols and stuff as well. Obviously we work with blood, so we get high risk samples in all the time. COVID was so new, we didn't know what to do with it. We had to constantly just consult other people and update all our documents. Everything was changing, every day was different. Someone would be like, okay, if we get a COVID sample in, we'll do this with it. And then the next day it's like, oh no, that was wrong, we shouldn't have done that at all.
When the virus first started, I had to drive for 3 weeks straight, crossing lots of borders. And having to go through the barricades was interesting because no cars were allowed and they were stopping them left, right, and center, and they were holding them up at the border, and I was just breezing through mostly. I'm supposed to be on a dedicated run, but I've been pulled off that numerous times because of the chaos of the routes.
There's been a lot to learn with forming Google Classrooms and posting work online and interacting with students. My subject hasn't been mandatory, so it's been a little bit, I haven't had as much engagement as I would have liked for the amount of work I'm putting into it, but c'est la vie.
It wasn't really helpful that as soon as I finished a job and was looking for another one, that nobody was hiring because the whole world went into shutdown. So I started on the 16th of April. We had 3 days of training. And so people are calling in and we kind of triage them. And so we run them through an assessment. And kind of ask them about their symptoms and any kind of past medical history that they have, or any clinical conditions or anything that would make them more vulnerable to perhaps getting coronavirus. Some things we're looking out for is people that have diabetes or any kind of autoimmune disease. If there's any kind of medical question, then what we have to do is we have to put our hand up and then a nurse comes over and we relay the information to the nurse. We do a lot of kind of training on the fact that if I were to give advice illegally, like if it went to the court of law for whatever reason, I would be held accountable for it. So you have to be very aware of what you're saying.
Especially with the PSWs, your hands-on care, changing breathes, brushing teeth. It's really hard to social distance in that type of environment.
There have been some stressful times with it, just with the timeliness of announcements and letting us know.
Yeah, I don't think that they're doing anything more or less other than providing us masks to support us. They originally stated that they would give us an extra $4 an hour to work under these conditions, though we haven't seen anything.
Our staff were dropping off like flies, but the workload wasn't getting any less. Everyone was scared pretty much as to what was happening.
I personally emailed HR just to raise the concern, to which I had just received a kind of copy and paste response. And it was just this, we're following the government guidelines, bear with us kind of thing. They might as well have said nothing in my eyes.
And all we got from the higher ups was like maybe like an unlisted YouTube video of like someone really obviously reading off a teleprompter being like, "You are all doing great." And yeah, we would all just sit in our tea breaks and watch that. It felt very dystopian.
We kind of ended up having to take matters into our own hands a bit, with very little given to support us, if anything, given to support us from the actual company itself. We felt like there was no real intention to put the health and the lives of their workers in any level of priority.
Well, I mean, I've been at home a lot, which, I mean, I guess we're all in the same boat in that. It's made me very close with my family. I've already been close with my family members, but just spending 24/7 in the same place, it's been good just to improve relationships and just spend time that's missed sometimes in the regular hectic pace of daily life.
I'm quite privileged in my position that I have a home and a positive environment in that home. It's just been something to work through together, which we're no strangers to.
Previously, I'd never really met any of my neighbors at all, and didn't kind of saw them in passing in the stairs, things like that, but never really met them. And it was actually through this lockdown phase that we've become really good friends with the family downstairs. And we'll actually sit out sometimes, and we've done a barbecue or a socially distant barbecue. We'll kind of all go downstairs and use their barbecue. And they have a son that's quite young, and he's homeschooled as well. And so sometimes we'll go out and kind of play football, or he has lightsabers. I've got little brothers and sisters, so it's kind of nice to have someone younger to play with, where you can play Star Wars and stuff and be a bit immature and kind of get rid of your anxiety about being an adult in this kind of really uncertain situation.
As a technician, I can't really work from home. I can't just, take all the machines in the lab into my flat. Not being able to tune out of the situation that was going on as much as everyone else. A lot of people, they could just sort of sit at their house all day and turn off the news and read a book and just sort of get on with their day. It was just the talk all day, every day was about it for 8 hours a day at a time, and then coming home, trying to relax, being on the internet, and then it's basically everyone on the internet was just complaining about how they can't go out to a pub or something.
I'd like to think that it has unified us as a workforce.
Personally, as a new graduate, I've been thriving throughout this pandemic because it's given me lots of work opportunities, lots more hours, as well as I've learned some new skills and learned more about infection control and how we can manage that more effectively during times like this.
So I went to Nova Scotia, and on the way back, I stopped at a truck stop in New Brunswick, and they had free brown bag lunches there that we could just grab and go. It's wonderful.
I'd like to think that there will be a sort of continuing sense of us all coming together to, establish what it is that we want from a situation, and all work together to work out the best way to do that.
I was able to just jump in and help the community straight from school, which has been amazing.
I think that going from a retail job into a job where what my everyday actions are doing is making a big difference in the lives of other people, and potentially saving people's lives by them calling or just being available for that service. It does make a big difference, especially in my own mental health. I've got problems with anxiety anyway. So with the lockdown, it was just making me quite anxious, but it's been quite nice to go and do a job where I know that I'm making a difference.
I had a free coffee just down the road from that too. So New Brunswick is pretty good that way. Better than Ontario.
I hope that when everything returns back to normal, we can get normal back. I feel like social distancing will have a huge effect on our community in the long term, and we'll continue to have that throughout maybe even our lifespan.
It was all go, go, go for so long. And now that people have stopped for a second and there's nothing there to distract them, then they're realizing like the underlying issues of society.
What kind of defines us as a species is our ability to cooperate and get through something. That's, you know, kind of how we are where we are. Maybe it's too optimistic, but I hate the idea. I can't see how things could just go back, you know, to how they were. You'd really hope that that's something for people to rally behind and really use to drive things in a new and better direction. I hope.